Hello, welcome. I'm super excited for today's video because we're going to be talking about my 20 favorite single shadows of 2022. I know people do this sort of video in different ways, but for me, it's the 20 shadows that I tried in 2022 that I liked the best. Most of them are 2022 releases. I'm not sure if all of them are. No, I think there's a couple exceptions, but either way, that's my criteria for this. One note is that I don't have a lot of the shadows that I ordered on Black Friday or since Black Friday. I am still waiting for my Copacetic and my Pretties for Your Face orders to ship. My Cleona and Shine by SD orders have been in transit for like 2 weeks. I just got in my Luxy order and I've only eye swatched them, so I don't have enough experience with them yet to try to put them into this classification. I have a Davina order that I got in, but I've only used them once, and Terra Sublunar. I've used it twice, but I feel like for the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna just group it in with the other Black Friday orders. Oh, and also I pre-ordered Terra Moon shadows just yesterday that won't be shipping until January. So I am gonna do a separate video, maybe in like March or something, where I rank all of my November and December eyeshadow purchases against each other. So technically this is my like January through October 20 favorites, but it's the best I could do, okay? And I'm just gonna go through these in the order that I wrote them down, which is loosely chronological. I tried a lot of really good shadows this year though. The first 3 are from the Davina order that I made back in February, and I did a whole eye swatching video. There was a lot of success in that video, but a couple standout favorites. The first one is Earthshine. I ordered the whole Moonscapes collection, and I think in a way, I hindered my ability to understand them by getting so many at once, and I'm still trying to like wrap my head around the differences between some of them, but this one was definitely a standout favorite. It has this like super metallic foiled sparkly finish that all of the Moonscapes do, but it has this like tealish tint to it, and I just think it looks so special and pretty. It is looking pretty silver now, but I think once I have some shadows next to it, you'll be able to make out the tealness to it. This is a shadow that I've reached for several times, but I look on it fondly, and when I see it in my palettes, I'm like, ooh, Earthshine. The next one is Twinkle Toots. This released in their Black Friday 2021 collection, which is also when Earthshine released, but I ended up not picking it up until February, and I love it. I love a good sparkly, light bluish teal color, and something about this just takes the cake. It's like the perfect amount of pigment, and it's so incredibly sparkly. It's a really versatile shade that I find works for the inner corner. It works layered over shades. It works on its own. I really love it. And then my third pick, which is also from that order, is Fairy Fire. I feel like I didn't 100% grasp the magic in that video. Like, I knew I would like it, but when I did a look with it all over my eyes, I was kind of like, okay, this is cool. But just as the years progressed, I find myself reaching for this time and time again, and I especially love it as an inner corner shade. I've used it as a highlight before. I love that it looks special in the pan. I said this in that video too, but I like that it looks yellowy, because I always know what it is. Some of my other iridescent shades really blend into each other, but this one's so special. And like, I mean, you could see the finish of it here. It's like sparkly, but also way more wet looking than the other two at the same time. In March, Luxy released their Fairy Tales collection, which I feel like I'm always referencing, but it was just such a good collection. I think it's probably my favorite collection that they've ever released. I just think the quality of all the shadows is like top notch, and they have some in there that are just so incredibly unique. So I have one favorite from that collection. I really love the entire collection, but I felt like I could encapsulate it with just one making this list, and it's Wicked Witch. This is what I have in my eyes right now. I used 2 neutral mattes that actually we'll get to in a second. I used Luxy Heartthrob as the red, and then I put Wicked Witch all over the lid, which is so special because it's very green. It has all this like green sparkle, but a really intense red base, and it does look so cool paired with this red matte. My lower lash line, I used the sparkly red from Adept, and then I used a green from ColourPop, and I topped that with Siren of the Sea from Luxy. These shadows actually all happen to be, other than the neutral mattes, they all happen to be in my Wizard of Oz palette that I made a couple months ago that I'm still enjoying. And my inner corner, I used Balance from the Fantasy Cosmetica Druid palette, but back to Wicked Witch. This shadow just really impressed and surprised me. I'm not usually someone that favors darker shadows. I'm very picky about greens, but I just felt like this shade was so special, and like the moment I put it on my eyes, which you can see in that video, I was so impressed, and it reminded me about what I love about Luxy. They're pretty much the only brand that I'll buy the entire collection of, so I'll end up trying out things that I wouldn't normally try out. This shadow is definitely one that I wouldn't have picked out if I was only blindly picking a couple from the collection, but I'm so glad that I had the chance to try it. I will continue to scream from the rooftops about it because I love it so much. And it's $2.50. The two mattes that I also have on my eyes that I think I bought at the same time as that. If not, it was at the same time as the next collection, but either way, they're two mattes from Luxy. I love Luxy mattes. I really need to make a video about them sometime because they just work better than maybe all of the mattes in my collection otherwise. These two colors are so fantastic. Dreamy is this like beautiful pinky brown that works really well as a transition. It feels buttery soft. It gives me no fallout, and it like blends itself. I was remarking as I put it on today just how easy it is to work with. And then the other one I bought at the same time that I also used today is Sultry. I had Dreamy in my crease and I just put this slightly below and like winged out my matte shadow a little bit. Blended itself so easy. I'm not usually someone who's ranting and raving about matte eyeshadows. Like I need them to work, but they're not what gets me all fired up about makeup. But like these get me fired up. The next Luxy collection, which I think was just called a Shimmer collection, was also really, really good. I wouldn't say it was 100% success rate like the Fairy Tales collection was, but there were a lot of bangers. And when I was looking at it, I was like, all right, I'll pick one from this list to include in my favorites. And I kind of surprised myself by choosing Venus. At the time, Snickerdoodle was my favorite, and it still is a shadow that I love so much and I continue to reach for, but as time has gone on, I find myself reaching for Venus on a weekly, if not daily basis. It's such a good shadow to pop on top of other shadows to add a little bit extra sparkle. I think it's a very neutral shade, but it's pretty. It's like a cool tone sparkle on top of like a pinky mauve base. But the base is subtle enough that it blends into other looks. And it's just really become like an integral part of my makeup collection. But if I was expanding this to like 25 shadows, I think Snickerdoodle would be included. The next one is Give Me Glow Xenon. I did a whole video about this when I got it in. It's such a pretty shade. This is one that I feel like I haven't used as much as I'd like to, just because when I'm going to do my makeup, my eyes tend to gravitate towards my 26mm eyeshadows and not these big guys, but I do think of it fondly, and I was really impressed with it. So I need to put this in a spot where it gets more use, because just look at that. It's like so multi-chromatic, so intensely pigmented, and so sparkly. On top of that, I just love the colors in it. This is an interesting one. Pretties for Your Face Moby. I did my initial order with them over the summer, and I did an ice watching video, and I was disappointed by most of them, but Moby just surprised me in so many ways. I never thought of myself as someone who likes to use satins in place of mattes. Probably if you asked me 6 months ago, I'd be like, I have no room for satins in my life, because I'd be thinking of them as like a shimmer, and I wouldn't use a satin as a shimmer all over my lid. But as a matte, they're so pretty and blendable. And I love using the shade on my lower lash line. I've also used it from time to time in my crease. And I think the shimmer in it makes it blend so smoothly and gives it a really interesting effect. So I really, really love that. My next Pretties for Your Face order, which I placed Black Friday weekend and I'm waiting for it to ship, I ordered, I think, 3 more satins. So I'm hoping that I'll love them as much as I love Moby, which is a lot. From the Luxy Happy Hour collection, I also challenged myself to pick one favorite, and that one was pretty clear to me, Fuzzy Flamingo. That collection also has a lot of really good shadows, but this one is just like ahead of the pack. This one really feels like a higher end shadow. It has some like gooiness to it, which I like. Like I like when it's like a soft gooiness, and it's just so wet and reflective. Wet looking, I should say. So pretty. Like I feel like this one looks similar to Xenon in its finish. And for a shadow, that's $2.50. Next up, we've reached my Cleona order time, which was so incredibly exciting. I really tried hard to pick out shades that would work really well for me, and I think I did a really good job. So I chose 2 favorites from that collection. The first one is Mural. This is such an interesting shade. It has like a green base to it, but a lot of orange sparkle. I've used this one several times, and it's just so unique in my collection and so pretty. And then the other tippy top favorite from the Cleona order is Emblem. This one has a green base and like pink sparkle to it. I love this. I love the finish of it. So pretty and super unique in my collection as well. I think it was like January or February that M. Jones 5018 and Bizarra Volta on Instagram collabed with Shine by SD, and at the time they were only available in 2 bundles of 6. They were expensive, as multi-chromes tend to be, and I held off on buying them then. And when they were released as singles in like June, I think, I didn't jump on them right away because I was a little bit nervous that I was seeing like really good swatches, but maybe they wouldn't translate like that on the eyes. But when they said they were going away, I finally caved and bought them in August. And I'm so glad I did because they are so unbelievably gorgeous, and I'm like, how did I even doubt it? You know, like I wish I bought them earlier because then I would have had more time with them. So this first one is Mountain Magic. This one's a little bit more of a red-based purple, and it's so pretty. It looks like borderline holographic. It's so special. I'm running out of words to use as I'm showing you incredible eyeshadow after incredible eyeshadow. And then the next one, which is a little bit more of a blue-based purple, is Queen of Chaos. Let's just have an appreciation moment for the pan. And this one really also seemed like the same exact formula as Mountain Magic. Maybe even a little bit more of like a reflectance in this one, like some lighter sparkle mixed in there too. Yeah, I would say that one's a little bit bolder, but I really, really love them both interchangeably. But yeah, I guess based on this, if I was going to recommend one, it would be Queen of Chaos. And last time I checked, they were still available on the website. So almost all of the shadows on this list were purchased by me, but I was sent the Davina Phantom Orbs collection in PR, which I'm still fangirling over to this day. I really love that collection. I did an eye swatch video, as I did for most of these, but all of those shades were so up my alley, and the formulas were incredible on top of that. And when I say these 3 shadows are favorites, I mean like top notch. Top notch. I'm not ranking these within the 20 that I'm showing you, but if I were to rank them, these would rank pretty damn highly. I think the most impressive shade is probably Midnight Nova. The shadow's like blue and pink, but it also has a green shift to it. I was wearing this when I got lunch with a friend once, and she's not into eyeshadow at all, but she was like, I'm trying to figure out what's on your eyes, which I always take as a compliment. It's so pretty, and I love it so much. The next one, which is probably my favorite from the Phantom Orbs just because of the shade, Nocturne Ash. And this one's more of a red-based purple, but it has like a blueness to it. And it's so pretty. I had this all over my eyes in my birthday palette video. And the fact that like this is like my birthday shade, that's saying something. I take birthdays very seriously. And then my other favorite from that collection is Soleil's. This is what they call their velvet formula. So it's not as like highly pigmented or foiled or anything like that, but it's so glowy and it's my go-to pink inner corner shade. I was actually wearing it on my inner corners earlier today in a different look. It's like the perfect shade of pink. I love it so much. I love the finish on my eyes. It also does look really pretty all over my eyes, and I have done that too, but I use it like probably 2 or 3 times a week as an inner corner shade. We are down to the final 3, and they are all Terra Moon shades. These are newer to my collection. These are all from October, but I've been reaching for them so much, and I love them. The first one is Solar Delirium. This shade, like, it looks like the sun. It looks like the sun, but also it has green in it. The finish is like really flaky, and everything about it is just so standout. I also probably have less like this in my collection because it's not my ideal color story. I think you can get like a little bit of a grasp of my color story from this. I love a good purple, and I love blues. So this like yellowy orange, it has to be special to call my name enough for me to get it and for it to land on my favorites. I also have Stellar Apotheosis, which I love also. I feel like this is the Cosmo's older sibling. It has like a grayish teal base and lots of red sparkle on top of it, and it's just such a highly pigmented standout shade. And the final one, which you might be able to guess if you've seen some recent videos of mine, it's Hyperspace from Terra Moons. This is another one that kind of surprised me because I was nervous looking at it in the swatch pictures I saw before it launched that it would be too dark. I've had other Terra Moon shades in the past that have like an intense dark base to them, and that's just not something that really goes with my makeup style. But I found this shadow to be so versatile and easy to work with. I was talking about this in my Terra Moon's eye swatching video also, that like when I pair this with burgundies, it looks more pink. When I pair it with browns, it looks more neutral. It's intense, but it's not so dark that it's hard for me to make a look with. And I'm so happy I decided to get it. So yeah, these are my 20 favorites. So going down the list again, we have Davina Earthshine, Davina Twinkle Toots, Davina Fairy Fire, Luxy Wicked Witch, Luxy Dreamy, Luxy Sultry, Luxy Venus, Give Me Glow Xenon, Pretties for Your Face Moby, Luxy Fuzzy Flamingo, Cleona Mural, Cleona Emblem, Shine by SD Mountain Magic, Shine by SD Queen of Chaos, Davina Midnight Nova, Davina Midnight Ash, Davina Soleil's, Terra Moon Solar Delirium, Terra Moon Stellar Apotheosis, and Terra Moon's Hyperspace. This is how they all look in the palette. And I'm probably going to end up leaving this intact for a little while because like all my favorite shades from the year in one place. Sign me up. So that's everything. I always love watching this type of year-end content where people are like pitching collection against collection, and also I would love to know your favorite single shadows from the year. If you enjoy this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It really means a lot to me, and there's always way more indie makeup content on the way. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.